Hey, this is Elliot just doing a quick little intro and big news right up top. This is our finale episode. I want to thank all of you guys for rocking with us, for listening, for showing up to the live shows, for telling your friends, for spreading the word. Yeah, thank you all so much. Could not have done it without you. As always, if you want to see us going forward, check us out on social media, Instagram, all of that. That is where you will get the most up to date info on our shows and everything, our website as well. Thanks again to everyone for listening, for rating, reviewing, all that stuff. Really appreciate it. And yeah, enjoy this episode with Meredith Casey. Bye bye. Have fun. Good luck. See you later.
You believe in ghosts? We never asked you.
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean,
Undetermined.
I've thought there were ghosts in my house for like the last week, but
because I've been wind chimes.
Because I've been the only one there. Actually, I was in the shower and I heard two noises.
Okay, that's.
And I was like, I was like, someone's here, and then I came out and no one was fucking there.
What were the noises?
Like loud thuds. But one was in the kitchen.
The house is settling. The house is settling.
Yeah, after 60 years.
I hate when people say that. I'm like, I can't settle.
We got that low, slow foundation. It takes about 60, 70 years for the house to really set.
The house is settling is such a, like, people just say that in old rickety houses. It's like, what do you mean?
What is it
It's just moving.
For?
Yeah. It's moving around.
Yeah.
It's you know.
Yeah.
It's swaying. But yeah, there was one in the kitchen, and then there was one in the so this is like the bathroom is in between the kitchen and like the little office room, and so then there was one in the office like 5-10 minutes later.
Do you have neighbors on your office side and your kitchen side?
No, it's a house.
What would be funny?
It's a house.
If it was a raccoon.
Okay, homeowner.
Just
It'd be
a
tight.
raccoon living in your house.
I'd be into it. I've had that before.
Yeah, I couldn't deal with that.
I mean, is it is it in the walls or is it in the house?
It's in the house.
Might be rats.
It goes in and out.
Might be rats.
Yeah,
you know, a lot of the times bars will be like, "Oh, our bar is haunted." Every
once
once in a while, glasses will fall from the shelves. It's rats.
It's rats.
It's y'all just got rats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever a bar is haunted,
y'all just got rats.
Y'all just got rats.
I'm gonna settle this one for you right now. I don't know if you're using this as a selling point, but y'all just got rats. I'm sorry.
Debunked by Meredith Casey.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start my show. Y'all just got rats.
Also,
but every myth you have is just that it's rats.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole premise of the show. It's called Y'all Just Got Rats.
Y'all just got rats.
I came back.
The show is like 30 seconds long.
I came back in the garage. The car was flipped upside down.
Y'all just
perfect,
got rats.
pristine, no scratches, no nothing. Oh yeah, it's just rats.
Yeah, y'all just got a bunch of rats.
Those are big rats. That's how you know you got big
rats. When
rats.
it's an actual rat infestation, you're like, it's ghosts.
You're like, wow, I stand corrected.
It's ghosts. Yeah. So funny. All right, shall we? Hi, I'm Ariana.
And I'm Elliot.
And this is
Burn in the Light,
where we bring comedians on to share their wildest, cringiest, most salacious stories from their time in comedy. Today we have a very special guest. You may have seen her on Comedy Central. It's Meredith Casey. Hello.
Oh my God.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited. We've rescheduled a few times, which is fun.
Yeah.
It feels like a feat. I always feel like I'm like, we did it when we get somebody like finally.
Especially in LA. We're slippery.
I know. Well, yesterday or 2 days ago,
LA people are slippery. Hey, we greased up. We greased up out here, so it's gonna be tough to catch us.
To get a handle on you.
It's sort of that's the new trend. You'll see. You'll get it in a couple. If you're in the middle of the country, you'll get it. But everyone's real slippery out here as of late.
Oh my God.
You sound like an angry old person. Yeah. Everyone's
it's gonna be Ariana.
That's
all
me.
These slippery teens.
All these slippers.
Oh, I call them slippers.
Yeah.
That's fucking great. No, I'm so happy that you're here.
Me too. I'm so excited.
You guys are meeting for the first time, but we've been friends for a little bit now. So I know some of the stories that you're going to share with us today, but Elliot will be probably shocked by some of them.
Rate the friendship.
On a scale of 1 to 10?
Yeah.
You're a 10 for me.
Oh.
Wait, what are we rating?
This is just a
fun
little thing I like to do.
How nice Meredith has been to me, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it's 10 out of 10.
That's for each of you to figure out.
Or maybe even 11.
And you can decide together, which might be a sign of a stronger friendship. I don't know.
Okay, wait. This is gonna be cheesy, but like truly, you've been one of the nicest people to me since I moved down.
Thank you.
Yeah, and not in like in a fake way, but literally like you've just given me some of the best advice since I've been down here.
You know what?
All I need.
You are so cool and nice and beloved, and I feel like
Don't.
Everybody is so nice. Like everybody loves you. That's how I feel.
And Elliott's just here.
Elliot's smiling.
It's just us two. We cut him out of the.
And I facilitated that. So without me,
you know
they
what,
wouldn't
though?
have said those nice things to each
tell
other.
Your friends that you love them, especially like your comedy friends. Like I always try to support my friends. What we're doing is hard. Like I'm always gonna be in everyone's corner. Like my friends who I think are funny. If you're not funny and you're my friend, get fucked. But no.
Like, if you're not funny and you're my friend, no, you're not.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You're canceled.
Slippery.
No, I do. I love telling people I love them.
It's
know?
Important.
It's important.
It's really important.
Yeah. But okay, so did you start comedy in LA?
I started in New York.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long were you doing it over there before you moved over here?
I started doing improv at UCB, Chelsea in 2009 or 10. So I started doing improv. And
classic.
Improv was so hard. And I was like, I realized like, I can just like this. Like I can just be a fan. I can watch it. I don't need to do it, but I can just be a fan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think
you're already light years
more
ahead
people
of
need to realize that.
Yes. You are light years ahead of a lot of comedians.
Okay, you can just like it and be a fan. You don't have to do it.
Yeah. We need fewer improv artists.
Yeah. So
I do like how you called them artists.
Yeah.
Well, I was trying to throw them a bone. I knew they would love that. Our lovely improv
improviser. Sorry, I'm not taking a class. I'm an artist.
I'm an artist. Yeah.
So I started doing improv hard, really, and then I started doing stand up in New York.
Well, how long did it take you to quit improv?
I did it for many years. I did it for 4 or 5 years. But then I also started doing stand up while I was doing improv.
Okay, and it immediately felt different.
Let me tell you something. The bar is low. Stand up. The bar was low.
Yes.
I started doing stand up and I was like, I can clear this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Clear the hurdle. Yeah.
I was going to open mics in New York.
Yeah.
With tons of guys talking about all the cliche things, and I was like, this.
Yeah.
So
then,
tell us. Do you feel like? Do you have a strong opinion on New York versus LA comedy?
This is juicy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rate New York on a scale of 1 to 10.
She's like 11 out of 10. It's just rats.
It's just rats.
All right, well, that's been the pod. Thanks for coming
on. I love New York comedians. I love LA comedians.
Mm-hmm.
I do think they are very different. I think New York comics are quicker. They have more jokes per minute. I think they're a little faster.
They tag up more a little bit.
They tag up more, and I think the pace is just faster because the pace of the city is kind of fast.
Interesting.
LA comedians, I think, are very different. They're more like explory. You know, I think that they
maybe looser.
Okay. That's the word. A little looser. New York comics seem a little tight, and pros and cons to both of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Oh God, I know some amazing.
Yeah.
LA and New York comedians.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I always like asking because I mean we've had a few people on before where we've asked about it, and like I don't know. I've never done shows in New York. I'd really love to. I love the city, but I've just never performed over there.
Oh, it's so fun.
But a lot of my favorite comics are New York comics, but then I've also seen a lot of people from New York where I was like, I wouldn't really want to see an hour from you. You know, like personality-wise.
Right.
But good jokes. I'm just like, you're kind of boring on stage.
I think LA comics have a little bit more personality.
Yeah.
And New York comics are a little bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a
Which
huge generalization and broad.
Yeah.
But
which can also be their detriment, like in LA, right? It's just it's all personality, no jokes.
Oh yeah, it's if you can have a very in your face personality and be able to hit the rhythm and cadence of stand up. That's a lot of LA people where they're just like, I'm you know, ba-da-da-da-da, and then people are like, and they're hot and fucking whatever.
And they do ba-da-da-da,
and
they start singing jazz.
Well, the crowd is like, let's hear some words, you know, and it's Kim Cattrall, and she's up there just fucking scatting.
Well,
that's a deep cut.
I think the cool thing about some LA comics, again, we're generalizing here, but I think they know how to build momentum very well. Like there's some people I really enjoy watching on stage where I can't really remember a specific joke that I like, but God, I'm enamored watching them.
Charisma out the ass.
Yeah.
You know, these are show people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're show people.
They're show rats. Yeah, these are
Slippery little show rats.
show rats. Slippery little show rats.
That's the name of the episode.
You have to become a club owner, a sleazy club owner, and that's what you say when you walk into the green room.
Hello,
and there's comics.
little-
If it isn't my slippery little show rats.
Yeah.
Here's your cheese.
Never explain it.
Yeah.
Never. They're always like, what? And you're like, all right, show starts at 5,
name of
and
the
then just
club.
walk out.
The name of the club is
When's the
Ratsness.
light?
Yeah,
When I give it to you.
No, one, they're like, one,
You're
they go,
smoking constantly.
they go,
Yeah.
who was that?
Yeah. You don't see them. You don't see them ever again.
Nobody knows I own it. Nobody knows.
Yeah, they're like, who the
They're like, this
fuck?
place is haunted,
Yeah.
and they're like, no, it's
It's
just
rats.
She's a rat.
It's called the Rat's Nest.
Yeah. I love that. Actually,
It's kind of a nice name for a club, the Rat's Nest.
Is it? Do rats have nests?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have huge nests.
God, it's called a nest. I
Yeah.
hate
Yeah.
that.
Mice do too.
Yeah, it's a
Ugh,
nest.
I don't
Come
like
on
that.
down
That's
to-
for birds.
Thursday night open mic at the Rat's
Nests
Nest.
are for birds.
Yeah, nests are for birds. I'm drawing a hard line.
Nests are for land
yeah.
eggs.
If you have wings, you can have that. But if you're a land animal, that you don't get to nest. Okay. Like, you
fish
don't
make
get-
nests?
Every animal nests.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true.
Hold on.
I don't think that's true. Do bears nest?
They nest.
No, they have a.
We're
Every go-
making wild
You
accusations.
nest. And a bed. Well, what's a bed but a nest?
That's true.
And
That's true.
that has been the fucking pod.
Yeah, I put twigs in there just for the feel.
No, I do. I do
Ambiance.
like how
Yeah.
every ghost is rats,
Yeah.
and every animal nests.
Nest.
Yeah, every animal
Every
nests.
animal,
This
and then when an animal doesn't nest, that's a ghost.
That's a ghost.
That's a ghost
That's a
animal.
ghost. You have a great ghost joke that I love, by the way. I don't know if I've told you that.
Oh, tell me.
The you don't want. May I share it?
Please.
That you didn't want to get an abortion, not because you're afraid of like. I forget exactly the phrasing, but you're like, I don't want to get an abortion because I'm afraid of ghosts.
Yeah.
Is basically the
Yes.
punchline, and
Yes.
that's so fucking funny to
Thank
me.
you.
Yeah, it's so good.
I wrote that joke when I was pregnant
Okay,
8 years ago.
and you were really thinking
this is
about
kind of
it.
fucked up.
Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
please.
So it was actually like kind
I'm
of on the
sending
fence.
this to your kid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please don't. But Eamon, I love you. But
And you love being a mom. To
I
be
love it.
clear.
I love it so much.
Yeah.
But when I was pregnant, I was on the fence of whether or not
Yeah.
I wanted to keep the baby.
Mhm.
And I remember I was sitting down and I was kind of writing and I wrote that joke. And
Yeah.
I was like, well, now I gotta have the baby.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because this is a really great joke. Seriously, that was my thought. Was
This might be the only reason Eamon's alive.
I mean, I could have totally reworked
Oh my
it and made it
God.
work the other way, but in my mind, I was like,
That's so funny. You're just in the crib
Oh,
like your mommy's little
God.
material.
Yeah.
That's what you,
know what,
are. Your mommy's new half hour.
you guys come over to my house and I just have them working at
Yeah,
a
yeah.
desk, just like writing.
just sit there like they're not giving me anything.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like, hello,
I-
slippery
I
little
know.
rat
Yes, I
boy.
slippery little-
He writes your material for you.
Yeah.
That'd be the grandest scam of all time.
Dude, it'd be
Holy
so
fuck.
funny.
You
That'd
know
be
what?
so
That does
funny.
happen though. Like sometimes I feel like I'm living my life differently because I'm like, well, I've been doing these like jokes about, dating or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, so now I have to be this person, or like, oh, I did this joke about I'm a piece of shit, so now I have to be a piece of shit, you know? And it's like you don't have to,
Like,
translate.
you could be
it.
too different.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can be.
Everybody
different.
has a shtick.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
have to write jokes about bad stuff. You could just do the bad
Sure.
stuff and
And
not
then
tell
not-
anybody.
which
yeah.
is
Which is
what
how
I
most
did
people
for a
do
long
it.
A lot of
time.
people do
Yeah.
it
That's how
that way.
most
A lot
people
of
do it.
do
Well,
But
I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I feel like I'm a very private person for no reason. I'm not like amazingly famous
I'm
or
pretty
something,
private,
but I'm
too.
pretty private. I
Yeah.
used to never talk about my personal life on stage, and actually Jessica and I were talking about it this morning, my roommate. But I've never talked about having a Muslim family on stage. Like I'll mention it sometimes, like when I'm like, talking about what my family went through, but I was like, it just dawned on me. I was like, oh, I've never ever shared
Yeah, I've
that
never
with
heard
anyone.
that material from you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, that's kind of like a part of who I am.
That would be
Yeah.
and I
great.
completely don't mention it, and I think that it is a little bit of a not necessarily like privacy, but it's just like sometimes I don't think to talk about stuff that's like a little too close or personal.
You don't like Muslims, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, hate them.
You don't want to give them the
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, they don't, Sunni Shia, it's like whatever. But like, yeah, I don't know why my brain does that.
That's
like,
interesting.
It doesn't let me go there.
Because most comedians, if they were Muslim, they would talk about it. This would be the first thing out of their mouth.
Yeah.
They'd get on every show. They'd get booked on every show.
And to be fair, I don't feel very connected to the faith. No, it's honestly true. It's honestly true though.
Yeah.
And I also think that for a long time, like I wouldn't even talk about like having immigrant parents because I felt it was hacky until I found a way to do it that I felt was genuine. Because I don't like that shit. Like I don't want to rely on something. I want to be able to talk about everything. And I'm not saying that everyone who does it does that. Like some of my favorite comedians are Muslim comics or immigrant comics or whatever. But like, I don't know, maybe that's why I stayed away from it. But sometimes those personal things, I'm like, I don't know. Like you talk about your son a lot on stage, which I think is kind of like, it's a little, I don't want to say brave, but like it's brazen to put that out there, and you're not sharing anything like explicit or whatever, but it's still, that's your whole life. You're a mom. You're going to talk about that,
Yeah.
Do you ever like go back and forth on it?
I do share a lot on stage, like just talking about like my son and suicide and like mental health stuff. I do share a lot of that. There are definitely times where like I'll go on stage with this like heavy material and there are a lot of times where it doesn't go as well as I wanted it to, and then a comic will come up after me and just kind of be like,
what's the deal with the airplane food?
Yeah, kind of like broccoli.
Yeah.
And I'll just be like,
steamed
Jim.
broccoli.
Yeah, Jim. That's Jim. Yeah.
But like they'll just like crush, and they'll just be like, my pussy stinks.
Yeah.
Something, or like
that's
still Jim.
real.
That's still Jim.
Or you know what I mean? They're like,
oh, buddy.
Yeah, or just jokes about, and I'm not saying like witty jokes about like trash cans, and I'll see that and I'll be like envious, and I'll be like, why can't I just write a fucking simple, easy joke about a household object?
Same. I'm like, it doesn't spark inspiration for me, even though I love that kind of comedy.
So many comedians I love who talk about
dark so fast.
I go so dark so fast.
Yeah.
And there are some times where I'm like, why can't I just fucking keep it light?
I will say when the dark material hits, I think it hits way harder than a joke about a ficus.
I think it hits deeper.
Yeah.
Because people will always forget what you say, but they'll never forget how you made them feel.
They'll connect to it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's one of my favorite quotes.
I know it's on your pillow in your room. I'm sorry, it's not.
We should record from my bed. We should record from my bed.
About to be like,
you're like, what's going on here?
I know you like TJ Maxx. My God.
We start making out. No. They sell it.
Is TJ Maxx a lesbian?
No, I love TJ Maxx. I'm a Maxinista.
Hold on. Now, where is this part coming in?
Oh, I thought you were saying.
No, Home
I
Goods
got confused.
is gay.
I got
Home
confused.
Goods is gay.
I thought.
But TJ Maxx.
I got my lines got crossed.
Yeah, TJ Maxx is very.
Is TJ Maxx for stupid people shop? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. Well, we've already established that I'm dumb earlier before we started recording.
No, because you have a deep inner monologue,
Yeah.
which is not dumb.
Yeah.
But you were really making sure.
We don't know what it's saying.
Yeah.
We don't know what it's saying.
It could be, really.
Do you hear people? This is the other thing that fascinates me. Do you guys hear in your dreams people talking? Because I don't hear dialogue, but I know what's going on.
Oh, I've never thought about it.
I've never thought about it.
Think about it. Next time you have a dream, I never hear sounds, but I know what's going on.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's
Isn't
a
that
trip.
freaky?
That's a trip.
Yeah.
That's a trip because I do want to say, yes, I must, but I don't know.
Which is crazy because my voice in my head is constantly, I don't think I have a second of the day where I'm not like thinking something.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to be constantly stimulated.
You should meditate.
Do you have ADHD?
I know. I really want to. It's very difficult for me.
So hard. I've been trying to do it for 7 years.
Yeah, I just can't. I explained this before.
Wait, 7 years?
7 years.
And your son is 8?
This is, yes. I am not
We are
kidding.
sending this to him.
We're
gonna put this episode in a trust, and as soon as he hits 21,
he can
bury
have
it in like a dig it in the
it's gonna be on
Remember
a DVD.
doing that when you were kids?
I want a capsule so
capsule,
bad. I want a capsule. If you guys want to go in on a capsule,
I would do a
I'll go in
capsule.
on a
I would
capsule.
totally do a capsule.
You could just do. What do you mean go in
you
on a
will. Where would I
capsule?
bury it? Where
Just
would
make
I
a
bury
shoebox.
the
Should we
treasure?
tell her it's
I
like a certain amount of money and she'll Venmo us?
Yeah, I got this capsule guy. He is not cheap. He is. What kind? What shape are you looking for?
Oh, I want it to look like a.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a lot.
Yeah.
That's gonna be.
You have to round the edges out. Nicely.
Yeah, you gotta round them.
Yeah.
I love a time capsule.
Yeah, I love a time capsule. I love the concept.
What would you
of
put
it.
in there though?
Oh, I don't know.
I know. That's why I'm like, I don't have anything that I would. Maybe I'd
Would you
take.
write
I definitely put a
I'd
newspaper.
write a note. Wouldn't you write a note?
Write a
I'd
letter
write a
to
note.
yourself. Yeah.
I'd write a note. I put a newspaper in from the day that we're burying that puppy.
There's a puppy in there.
There's a live animal.
Yeah.
in the time.
You're sending a message to your future self. You're sending a really strong message with that.
It's a bloody horse head. What the fuck?
I was fucked up. I was so fucked
Do
up.
I owe myself money? Like, what the hell is happening?
Wait, but when are we opening this? Like,
oh yeah.
are you
we'll see.
are you gonna
Next
say
day.
I'm opening it when I'm 80?
Yeah. I would. How long do you think you're gonna live?
Oh, that'd be so
You know what?
sad if
Right?
you don't make it to the time.
capsule
They
event.
bury you with the time capsule.
Then you have to leave a map behind for somebody to
for
go
treasure.
find it.
Ooh,
for
yeah.
treasure
I
and
do
somebody go find
I
it.
do fantasize about that because there was that, I forget what it's called, but there was that famous buried treasure that someone left behind clues, a very complicated thing, and I think it only got solved after like 70 years.
I think this is like most movies.
I mean, I love national
I think there's
treasure.
a lot of movies about
I love
this.
National Treasure.
Somebody figured it out. I think it was Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
And
No, it was real.
There were
It's
pirates.
It was
Yeah.
buried
I know what
somewhere
you're-
deep in the forest.
In the Caribbean.
well, there's DB Cooper's, but that wasn't.
No,
I don't.
what-
He didn't leave.
Maybe it is DB.
DB.
But,
you talking about douchebag Coopers? Oh, I remember douchebag Coopers. Oh, that guy was a fucking douche.
We're off the rails. He's just rats. I can't believe that. That's my favorite thing I've ever heard. It's just rats.
That
That guy was nuts. Well, actually,
Yeah.
turns out he's just rats.
He's just rats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did a 23 and me.
trench
He's just
coat.
rats.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
rats. No, DB Cooper was the dude who hijacked a plane.
And he jumped out of the plane.
Demanded
no, I've
money.
heard of this. It's not that guy though. This is
but
legit.
so that was one, but he landed in the forest. They don't know where he
Yeah,
landed.
yeah. This
and
is a
so they think
mystery.
it's in the forest. But then I feel like, there's that show fucking
Watcher.
no, it's like something Oak Island. It's a History Channel show.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
And it's basically they're trying to find treasure on the
I mean,
island.
treasure's exciting.
It is, but there's like 8
most
seasons.
people would agree. Hollywood would agree with
Yeah,
you, baby.
I love treasure. I want a metal detector. You already know this.
Oh yeah, metal detectors are cool.
Metal detectors. I do love the idea of treasure is exciting.
But this is their
yes.
like everyone's like, I have an idea where it is.
Mhm.
Everyone thinks it's over here. It's over here. And then
Yeah.
they spend a shit ton of money digging it up. It's
Yeah.
not there.
Yeah.
And then they go, oh, actually, I meant it was over there. And there's like 10 seasons.
To me, it's like, okay, imagine like finding the Zodiac killer codes and solving them. Like, I would feel like the fucking smartest
treasure to
person on
you,
the
huh?
planet. Like,
Mhm.
no, I think it's just cool to like
It's a puzzle.
do a puzzle.
Yeah. Yeah.
like I think that's a level of intelligence.
Yeah. I mean, I was, another podcast I produced, someone on it was saying how they like to do math at night, just like math
good
problems.
Really?
Which,
Could
yeah,
never be
and
me.
everyone is like, oh, that's fucking nuts. But I like to do crosswords. It's the same. It's just a puzzle.
Yeah.
So
what
it's
kind
like,
of math will they do? Addition, subtraction, multiplication? What are we talking
I don't
about?
know.
I
think they just have, like,
algebra.
an
I
app.
don't want to do.
And they just do math?
Yeah, I have one and I never fucking open it.
Mhm. I
But
just play
you know-
basically Tetris for Dummies on my phone. Woody, get
What's
into
your
it.
high
I
score?
could do some. I do.
Don't ask.
no, I want to see.
No, you won't show me yours. I won't show you.
I've
mine.
shown you mine.
Not in a while.
It's the
He got
same.
me addicted to this phone game.
It's the same. I haven't changed
and
it.
listen, I was addicted to a long time to Tetris, and I had to stop playing. I had
Mhm.
to cold turkey because I would play for like hours every night.
Wow, wow, wow.
And this is basically like Tetris, but like for dummies.
And
it's
this
like you're
slippery
just
little
placing
show
blocks,
rat
Slippery
came
little
crawling back.
you know. So it's like I can't. I'm addicted to this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wake up. I'm like, time to play Woody.
Yeah, she'll play it on airplane mode to
Wow.
avoid ads.
Wow.
Just at home, in bed.
Wow. I do feel like I'm your therapist right now, sitting over here, you
Yeah,
two
I
over
know.
there. Where I'm like, well, I think Elliott has a
We
problem
honestly,
with your addiction.
that would be really fun
Wait,
if
I
we
have
brought.
a problem?
I think Elliott has a problem with your
Yeah.
Tetris addiction.
Yeah. He's like, it's gotten out of control.
I
think
wanna
that'd be
know what your
kinda
score
fun
is.
To put, I'll show you after. I think it'd be fun to bring a therapist on and have them talk to us, flip the tables.
Oh yeah,
That's
hear
so
about
fun.
their story.
So you tell me
No,
a story.
just like interrogate.
Let's
us
get some
on, like,
HIPAA
our-
violations.
So what the fuck's up with you?
Yeah.
What's your problem, huh? What's your mental illness?
Like,
I used to work phone captioning for deaf people, and so now it's
I
like
always forget this about you.
it's fully automized or automated
Mhm.
and automated and computerized. That's what I was gonna say. But you would just basically have to like repeat what they were saying in like a monotone voice into a headset as they were saying it. So it's like takes a little to get used to, but you're used to it. And you're not supposed to talk about the conversations, but there was one that this woman, you could only hear one side. You could only hear the person calling it.
Mhm.
Sometimes the other person would come through a little bit. This other lady was not coming. It's two old women. I could just tell. The other lady, I could tell, was the only word she could get in was This other lady was going off about the Illuminati,
Oh whoa!
about how
This has to be
Beyonce and Jay-Z
translated?
are in it, Barack Obama,
Wow.
and then like something else.
It was
and,
me.
And at some point, she said "white devil," and I was like, "That's Ariana. That's how I know."
Okay, so
Mhm.
I bought my son a few years ago. I bought my son walkie-talkies.
Love. I
That's
still
cool.
have mine.
Yeah, I love them, and we were playing with them in the house. And you know how you can pick up people's landline phone conversations, or maybe not landline, maybe cell phone too.
Oh,
But we went.
These
we
are not
went.
children's walkies. These are
Well,
high
so
grade.
you can. I mean, it's just radios,
Yeah,
right?
it's the
It's
same
just
thing.
signals. It's just
Yeah.
like
Yeah. The interfering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we went to a different channel, and I heard two old guys. It was when Trump got elected. And I heard two like very old people talking to each other, and it was like the most racist, like kind of like conversation I've ever
Yeah.
heard. And I remember listening to it and being, but it was like funny. It was great.
Okay.
I actually have it on my phone. I like recorded
Oh
it.
yes.
Like because it was so
Yes.
funny.
Episode.
Yeah, because it was just unbelievable.
That's hilarious.
It was
That's
so funny. But it's kind of fun to just kind of
mess around.
pick up like I
Yeah.
love like
overhearing something.
yeah.
It's like in true crime when they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we tapped their phones and we got their
Yeah,
conversation."
it was
And
just you and Eamon.
Well, but they play a clip and it's like these mob bosses and they did this and that, and then it's just like, oh, all right, well,
Yeah.
you see the thing?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Did you see the thing? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's it.
That really is
like,
it.
whoa, wow, that's
truly the
fucking.
summary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my god. Oh my god. Maybe I'll have to get new walkie-talkies.
Get walkie-talkies.
I'm getting a metal detector walkie-talkies. I'm pretty much.
You know, you can listen to like police scanners.
Yeah,
Fire
I'm not
scanners.
so into
Yeah.
that though. I'm not like I'm
Why?
not.
Too close to home.
No, I just like I don't really care. I think like I feel like a lot of people are trying to be like true crime.
I want to hear people's private conversations
wanna
that they don't want
hear-
anyone else to
I
hear.
want to hear what Sarah did at Becky's birthday party.
Yeah.
Do you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah, I
like
do.
you
I
know,
do.
that's
Yeah.
what that's
I
want to
hear the inner
want.
weird, dark,
Yeah.
sick shit.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what the police are talking about.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not.
Maybe
they're just
they
sharing
are.
secrets
Yeah.
between each other.
You know, we
Yeah.
saw some firefighters today at lunch, and I don't know what they were talking about, but I hope it was good.
I
You know?
felt alive. A
You
man
should
in-
have seen her when they walked in. She literally goes like this. She had sunglasses
Go
on.
like
She went
this.
like this. Yeah, I literally
Inside
go.
it
This
spits.
is
I
a
was like,
cartoon.
"Ooh."
Yeah.
Who are they? Like with my hands full of trash.
Yeah.
Just
She's
like,
like- and then what did you ask them when they're
huh. And then I took my glasses off. I was like, "Hello, boys." I was like, "When are you guys doing your little pancake?"
Yeah, what was the
party.
pancake thing?
So they do a pancake fundraiser. They
Uh-huh.
do like they'll make breakfast for people in the neighborhood.
Hilarious.
It's actually really great.
That's you.
Yeah, that's
I'm
us.
in the
That's you.
neighborhood. It's
And
right next
I bring
door.
my son sometimes, and they would make breakfast, and they let the kids slide down the pole,
Oh
and they
my
let the
God.
parents slide. I mean, they
Oh,
don't-
I'm bringing
yeah.
a backpack. I want to slide down that pole. I need
Yeah.
to look like a child.
Oh yeah, I'm just gonna come
Yeah.
down like a stripper, throwing confetti, just singing a song like
I start hitting on them. Yeah.
Shoo. Da-da-da. Like
You're sliding down, then once you get like past the floor ceiling thing,
Yeah.
you just lay back and
Yeah.
you're just like spinning around the
Yeah,
pole
yeah,
slowly down. Everyone's like, "What the fuck?" No, I have heard that firefighters will just like give you a tour.
These
If
guys
they're
are
not
nice.
busy
They'll
and
give you
you're
a tour.
like,
These
"Can I get
guys
a
are
tour?"
really nice. Every time
They're
I see
nice.
them, they wave.
And they'll
or
probably give you
something,
t-shirts,
you
too.
know.
Because I was wearing a
I love free
firefighter
merch.
T-shirt once,
Yeah.
and someone was talking to me about it, and they
Dude,
were like,
we
"Oh,
should
you
get
can just get them."
firefighter T-shirts.
Yeah, I love free merch. Yeah.
I do too.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Oh God, we've gone off the rails.
The amount of free merch I've bought from thrift stores,
Oh yeah.
kind of fucked up.
What do you mean bought from?
Like
thrift-
the
it's
people
not-
Like people get it and then they
Oh, yeah,
donate it,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, this is a cool shirt," and then I buy it like a fucking
They're like,
fool.
when did you work for Mozilla Firefox?
I used to have a Harvard shirt.
Mozilla, that fox was so cute.
Cutie.
It's still around.
Yeah.
I use
Fox was
Firefox.
so cute. Oh God, fuck! It was such a cute fox.
R.I.P.
This is an animal heavy pod.
Well, I don't
today.
want to tell you
Animal
this,
heavy
but
pod.
that fox was rats.
You know, it was rats. It was all
It was
rats.
rats the whole
I gotta
time.
go,
Rats
guys.
all
Sorry.
That fox was so cute. I'm so sad.
It's just some
I'm so
slippery
sad.
little show
I think
rats.
it's still around. No,
Is it really?
They changed the
Yeah,
logo.
it
It
is. I
is?
use it.
Oh,
But
it
is
is.
the logo?
I
The
have a
logo
photo.
is like
It's
gone
gone.
anymore, is it?
It's
I think it's gone.
no,
That's what I mean.
I think it.
Like I
It's-
think this web browser.
No,
maybe
it is.
It is.
Oh, it's
oh,
there?
It's just
thank
like it's
God.
like an
Okay.
artsier
Okay.
version.
Crisis averted.
Okay, I thought
Yeah.
maybe it was in hell with that paperclip. You know the paperclip?
Clippy.
Clippy.
He went to hell.
God
huh?
rest his soul.
I'm assuming they
Yeah.
went to hell.
He's on the other
Yeah,
side. He's
yeah.
a ghost.
Yeah.
He's a ghost. That one's actually a ghost. We
Yeah.
debunked that one.
I'd like to see that hell actually. of
Yeah.
those animated
All the
Anyway.
little mascots.
Yeah.
animated mascots.
Well, I heard that you might have some fun little stories for us that are not fireman related.
Well,
Since we've gone so off the rails.
who wants to hear anything about besides fireman stuff?
Yeah,
but
I know.
okay, yeah, I've two little stories,
Okay,
two little cuties.
Please.
So, because it's about stand up,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
There's one that still pisses me off.
Mm-hmm.
It was at Flappers.
Mm.
And I just finished a set and I got off stage and it was before the pandemic
Okay.
and
Yoo-hoo room.
Yoo-hoo room.
By the way, not our first Yoo-hoo Room Flappers story.
I just
on
love
the
saying.
pod.
That's the only reason I asked. I
Yoo-hoo
just
room,
like
yeah.
saying Yoo-hoo room.
Yeah. Yoo-hoo. I love saying
Yoo-hoo.
yoo-hoo.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like when you're from New York and someone's like, "Oh, where you live in the Bronx?" And
Yeah.
you're like, "No," and they're like,
Yeah.
"That's all I
Live
know."
in Pizza
Yeah.
Town?
yeah. Take the subway.
But I remember the set went well and I got off stage. There was another comic. She came up to me and she was like, "I can't believe you're funny. You're a mom."
A woman, another woman,
Another
said that to you?
comedian who I still don't like to this day.
Who
But I
is
see
it?
her around. I can't name
We'll
names.
bleep
I'll
it.
tell you afterwards.
Another woman said that.
Said
to
she
you.
came up to me and she goes, "Oh, man, I can't believe you're funny. You're a mom." And I wanted to be
And
like,
you're like, I almost killed it.
honestly,
yeah.
I do stand up. I come home most nights smelling like whiskey and cigarettes. I'm an aunt. Okay?
Yeah, you're not a mom.
I'm
you're
not
an
a mom. I
aunt.
identify
That's
as an
very
aunt.
Funny.
Yeah.
That's very funny.
Does your kid call you by your first name?
No, he calls me Sherry.
Does he really?
Ser-
Yeah, I make
seriously?
him call me a different
I'm
name.
sorry,
Sherry.
but that
You
is-
make him?
Yeah, that's
that
my,
is
He's
so
like, I don't want to
funny.
do this
I'm just kidding.
anymore.
No, I don't.
Please, I hope you have to force him to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
now, 'cause
yeah.
That
that's
is
the
funny.
funniest
Yeah.
shit I've ever heard.
I have a stage name and then I have a home
yeah,
name.
yeah.
But it's reversed. Your real name is on stage.
And I'm home.
You have a mom name,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
made-up mom
As
name.
far as he's concerned,
Oh
I'm
my
Sherry
God.
Gonzalez.
That is
So he won't
fucking
look me up
funny.
and find my
Yeah,
material.
yeah. You've been living a double. You're in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
witness
yeah.
protection
I
program.
got a bug out bag and everything.
Yeah.
And as soon as this kid does one more thing, I'm fucking out.
That's so funny.
Wait, there's something I wanted. We were talking about before that. Oh, so she came up to me and said that there was a part. I was
Uh-huh.
like, I was pretty offended,
Yeah, how
And,
did you respond in the moment? Were
in
you
the
just sorta
moment,
like,
of
whatever?
course, I don't like confrontation.
Mhm.
I will never say
Mm-hmm.
how I truly want to respond.
Well, it also catches you off guard.
I want to respond the way I want to respond, but then I'll
Yeah.
just end up feeling bad about that later.
Sure.
So to
Mm.
save me from like beating myself up for being mean,
Mm-hmm.
I will just kind of like grin and bear it.
Sure.
Except for the few times that I have been honest
Yeah.
about, you know what I mean. But
It's
I
sometimes
think
just
I just
not worth
said
it,
I
too.
think I just said, "Oh, okay." Like I just was like, "All right, yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
sweet,
that is a thought you had.
yeah."
Yeah.
But then inside, I was kind of like, "Did you think that like I was a comic before I was a mom? You
Right.
know what I mean? Like I think
Mhm.
she thought, like, did she think I started doing comedy? Like I did the hardest
Mhm.
thing and then did the second hardest thing,
Mm-hmm.
like where I was like, I want to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a kid and then I'm gonna also like try to be a comedian.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's kind of a sick.
How far into
Twisted.
comedy?
Yeah,
were you?
because
Yeah.
comedy's like a sick, twisted thing. Like,
Yeah.
I think to have a kid and then be like, I want to be a star. Like
Yeah,
after
yeah, yeah,
that,
after
it's
that.
like it's like a
Well, it's
little
also
kind of
Demented.
sick.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
also
That's it.
interesting to have a kid and then be like, I want to pick a job where I'm not home
and not getting paid.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm not making money, and I'm not around to see my kid.
Right.
Ooh, that's messed up.
How far into comedy were you?
So this was before the pandemic. Let's call it 2018 to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
I started doing comedy in 2009. We'll call it 10 for the math, so 5 years. Wait, what?
No.
No, 8 years.
No. I was like, all right, I'll let you go
for the
there.
math.
Yeah. And I would never correct you.
Yeah,
I would never correct you. But
Inside, she wants to say
all right,
something.
Beth had problems with math last time, so
oh yeah, you listened to the Beth episode.
So
she loved the Beth episode.
I really loved
Okay.
it. Yeah, I loved it.
She rules.
Okay, so when I asked about the good stories, do you think it came off like I was like calling her story shitty?
No,
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah,
I'm not
He's
self-conscious
been in
about
his head
it,
about
but
this. Only
No,
for,
I didn't at
3
all.
weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what's funny is like I get a lot of offhanded comments like that too, where people would be like, "I didn't think you were gonna be funny," and then you were, and I'm like, "Oh, so I'm just not a white man." Do you know what I mean? Like, there's like an undertone to a lot of those comments that it's just like, "Why would you not be funny as a mom?" You know, just because that's like.
yeah.
Maybe it's not relatable to everyone, but it can still be hilarious. Like, I'm not a mom, and I love your mom jokes. You
Thanks.
know,
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
I
one,
think
it's
that's insane.
it's a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
But then two, like, just trying to make it make sense in my head.
Mhm.
If someone went up
Mhm.
and they were like, "I'm a mom and this is my first time," and then you were really funny,
I wish
I would still be like, "Oh, that was really good for your first time, not for being a mom."
Right.
So
right.
in then it's like in those moments, I think I'm just gonna start being like, "How did you think this was gonna go?"
No,
Right.
I wish,
like, what did you expect to happen after that
I
comment?
wish your
Right.
response to her was like, after she got off stage, I wish you were like, "Oh man, I thought you were gonna be funny because you were a huge bitch." What are you trying to say?
Yeah.
You know, but I'm sure there's some internalized misogyny there for her. You know.
Yeah,
Let's
and
get
I
the
think
therapist on here.
there's a
Yeah.
weird there's a jealousy thing,
For
you
sure.
know. I think that
Mhm.
sometimes people can think there can only be like one funny woman on a lineup,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or
at all.
or seeing other comics as competition, whatever. It's
Mhm.
we all do it, but
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's those fun little comments.
Okay.
I hate that it was from another woman comic though.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
really
that is
I will
very
tell you who
odd.
it is afterwards.
Okay, great.
You can tell us right now.
That's
we
off
will
the
take it out.
Patreon. No, we'll just wait. We'll
Yeah,
wait.
yeah,
I wanna
yeah,
know so
wait.
bad.
I know. We're nosy. It's fine.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes actually the bummer about our podcast is sometimes the best conversations happen right after we stop recording.
Oh, really?
Because as people are like leaving, we'll like start chatting as we're cleaning up.
Yeah.
And then it's like yesterday, or a couple days ago we recorded and our guest had like the best story. And then I realized I had a wild story from the road that I keep meaning to share on the pod, but there's just never time.
Can you share now?
It's two. It was another well, actually, I guess it's related.
Yeah.
This time it was a dude comic. I was on the road with Jessica Michelle in Houston, and we do our shows, and then there's a late night mic that they have, and they were like, if you guys want spots, we'll put you up top because we're gonna also run and do another fun bar show, just getting in as many sets as you can. So we're like, okay, great. And so the host goes up, and I was like, I'll go first, I don't mind, biting the bullet. And the host goes up, I do my set, I do pretty well, and I was just in like my jacket and had a white little sleeveless t-shirt on underneath it. It wasn't like it like, not that it was like supposed to be like bodycon, but it's just like, kind of just like an undershirt, so it like fits a little tighter.
Mhm.
And
Say bodycon?
yeah, like where
Like
it fits to
contour?
your
I've never heard that before.
there you go, you learned something.
You're going
every
full
day.
bodycon.
You should wear a bodycon.
Maybe I do. Maybe at home I'm all bodycon.
But so I go and I do the set, and I had met the comic briefly in the green room, and then after I am getting off stage and he comes back on to introduce the next comic, he goes, I was saying something about like, I don't know, I made some allusion to like these couples dating in the audience or something, right? And as I'm walking off stage, I hear him on stage go like, "Oh yeah, I'd fuck Ariana too. Her jacket swung open and I saw her tits. Did you see those things?" And I was like,
"What?
Literally what?" And the only other woman that was like a Houston comic that was there waiting to go up, I mean, I think she saw my face visibly turn like bright red because I was so furious. and she like comes and finds me and she's like, are you okay? Like, I'll fucking beat him up. Like, that wasn't okay. Like, and I'm like, no, like, you don't need to get involved, because at the end of the day, like, I'm never going to see this person. He's also never going to go anywhere. Like, he's not a good comic and he's not a nice guy. But I was just like, that was so unnecessary.
Yeah.
And the whole audience was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, how did they react?
So you ruined the show for some
I'm
of
glad
them,
the
like,
audience wasn't
some of
kicking
them
laughing, just
some of them politely laughed, and then literally some of them, like, in the whole back corner, everyone turned to look at me, and it was so embarrassing because you'd have like nowhere to go. And I was just like really flustered, because it's like, you did that when I got off stage, because I can't say anything back to you. And so Jessica was going up after me, and I whispered in her ear, I was like, yeah, but did you see the tits on him? And she went up and like riffed on him, and she got him back, and she did great with her set. But I was like, dude, like, why do you feel entitled to make comments about my body? Like, you wouldn't do that to any of the other people that were going up. And also, like, how disturbing. Like, like, respect me as a comic, not just like some fuck toy.
And you know what? See, that guy doesn't have an interior monologue.
No,
he doesn't have an inner monologue. He's an idiot.
Like, you shouldn't say that.
Dumb people don't have inner monologues. It's all exterior monologues.
Yeah, and to be honest, it got to me a little bit more than I care to admit. Like,
of course,
to be honest,
somebody
but
sexualized.
Like, it really ruined my night. Yeah. Because I'm like, I just
Makes
did
you feel
these
bad.
shows, and I felt really good about them, and I, it's fun to be on the road and stuff, and then like that was so unnecessary. It's just a bummer when it's another comic, because it's like, whatever if they're shitty dudes in the audience, I deal with that all the time, but like, you're a comic, and you know how hard it is for women to be respected on stage, and then that was the thing you chose to say,
Yeah, I had one. I was opening for a headliner on the road in Atlanta, and before I went on stage, he's like taller than me, and he like looked down at me, and he like put his hands like, I guess, on my shoulders, and then he kissed my forehead.
No.
And he was like, he said something patronizing, like condescending, that was like just do your best out there or something. Like,
was he an older white man?
Older black guy.
Okay.
And
This
So
last
weird.
night
it was so weird. Like,
Yeah.
he kissed my forehead. Like, it was like fatherly, but also
the older
sexual.
guys love to do that. Like, last night, you saw me last night working in the lot. There was one guy who came by, and like, we work off tips in the lot. It's like valet, and he kept talking to me a lot, and I had never met him before, this paid regular. And he kept saying like, hey love, or thank you love, and like really kept talking to me, and he like asked for my Venmo. So I'm thinking like, oh, I'm gonna get a huge tip, because Venmo means like, oh, you don't have enough cash, so you want to like Venmo
of course.
me, right? I woke up this morning, he Venmo'd me $4. $4. And he was like, and I was like, don't call me love.
Did he
if
send
I ever see him again, like, oh God.
Love is at least $20.
Yeah, love is $20.
Love's
dude,
gonna cost you.
Yeah.
Did he do like an emoji comment or anything?
Oh yeah, what was the comment?
He said, thanks, love.
Thanks, love.
and I was like,
he got one more in
I
there.
was like, you got one more in there.
You son of
And
a
I was
bitch.
like, dude, you couldn't do 5?
Slippery
Slippery show rat.
When people tip under 5 in the lot, you slippery show rat. I'm just like, dude, come on, don't do that patronizing thing. He seriously really wanted to talk to me. He was like asking me all these questions, like being super nice, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get like 20 fucking bucks from this guy, which like, you don't even have to give me that much, but $4, anything under 5 feels like a slap in the face to me.
At least it wasn't in gold dollar coins. That was always, as a server,
I get a lot of $2 bills.
Because you would get $2 bills or like a couple gold coins.
I like
and
a
again,
gold
you're
coin.
like, this is $3.
I like a gold coin. It's treasure.
It's treasure.
Fuck.
It's treasure.
It's
I
fucking treasure.
Put it in the time capsule.
I do like it, but it is. But again, you're like, this is $4.
Okay, I have one story, and Ariana said that this is gonna.
Okay, you're gonna. This
Yeah,
is gonna,
yeah. Hold on.
Okay, I know Elliott very well.
Okay,
he's actually gonna get pissed, and I know.
And he goes,
Your roommate.
yeah, my roommate. He goes, I can tell how high you are by how wide your hand gestures get when you talk. It was very funny.
You're walking around the neighborhood like this.
I was like, oh, I didn't even know that. And then I told them about when we were recording, I kept hitting the couch.
Oh,
and then
dude.
it's one of those things when someone calls it out, then you look
then
for
you
it.
Dude,
and you
I
can't
know.
stop.
I'm Sicilian. I do that.
You're Sicilian.
Sicilian Lebanese. We talk with our
Yeah,
hands.
so that's you can't tell her that. That's a
gorgeous
hate
mix.
crime.
Thank you.
That's a gorgeous mix.
I'm a little mutt. I'm a few other things too, but
Wait, so what side of your family is Sicilian? What side's Lebanese?
so my mother's last name is Scobletti, and her family came from Sicily.
Okay.
Calabria.
Okay.
And then
my God.
yeah.
Best pizza.
Oh my God, I know.
Same, yeah.
And my father's father was born in Lebanon.
Okay.
His mother was Lebanese, and his father was the British diplomat to Gaza.
Oh my God.
But
Yes, you told me
before
this.
World War II,
Wait,
which
and
is
then
important.
Yes.
to mention.
Very.
Wait, and then was your mom's side of the family in the mafia in Calabria?
Yeah.
You are from a really little
Hot.
twisted, hot little gossipy, juicy
You got connects.
Fucking hot-headed, pissed off.
You got
No, we're
connects.
angry.
We're
yeah.
pissed off, but we're gonna be diplomatic.
Yeah, but
we
yeah,
run this town.
Oh, we'll
I didn't get the
colonize your
I didn't
ass.
get the diplomacy part. I'm just angry, and there's
Do you
there's
get mad?
no.
I don't know that when I've seen you mad, it's been very under
Get mad right
control.
now.
I
1, 2, 3.
definitely get mad.
I love
definitely
that.
do.
I love knowing that.
But I do a lot of work to I
get
do a lot of
to-
I do cognitive behavioral therapy. I do
Yeah.
a lot of work to manage that over the years.
That's good.
Yes. But I
Start-
definitely
starting
would go
when?
out and I like before I got into therapy, I would get into these like altercations, like I'd like
Okay.
You were a fighter?
yeah, dude. But I wouldn't touch.
Okay.
No touching.
but
verbal.
verbal.
Verbal,
Yeah.
and it would send my whole day.
Well, so this is why I'm
Oh,
excited
shit.
for you to tell the story, because when you told it to me at first, I really truly was like, oh, I would have popped off.
You have to help me fill in the blanks because
Yeah.
my memory sucks.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
okay.
That sounds like
My
it's gonna be
memory
a mad lib.
sucks so
Yeah,
bad.
and, like
but
she can't even be mad just because she has a bad memory.
I know, seriously, I'm like-
do you know what I mean? Like you're like, I can't even be pissed because I don't remember
Yeah,
what I'm mad about.
I do like filling in the blanks.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I was in a bar
Yeah.
in
This
Schenectady.
This is sad
A
because
giraffe
it's
walked
also
in.
very recent.
Oh yeah, this
Nice.
is very recent.
My
This
memory
like
is
not,
getting very
yeah,
bad
yeah.
too,
This
so
is
I'm with
very,
it.
very recent.
Yeah.
So, I was on the way to. I'm gonna try not to use any names or any specifics.
You were on the way to a club.
I was on the way to a club.
Okay.
And it was. It took me 2 hours to get there, so it's like 2 hours away.
Mhm.
Okay.
I was an hour and 45 minutes into the drive. I had 15 minutes left. I get a call from my agent who says, "Hey, how close are you to the venue?" And right away I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Mhm.
He goes, "Yeah, I don't think they got a spot for you tonight."
And you were supposed to.
And I was supposed to host for a headliner for a guy. So I'm like, "What? What do you mean?" He's like, "I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Just just get there and we'll figure it out."
Mhm.
So I arrive at the club. I see the comic that took my spot.
Mhm.
I was supposed to host. I see this other comic there that I know, and I'm like,
What are you doing
"Oh,
here? Yeah.
What are you doing here?" And she was like, "Yeah,
The headliner had asked her.
the headliner had asked, so it's not her fault at
Okay.
all.
Yeah, right,
but
right,
the
right.
headliner had. Well, I'm not saying that in an aggressive way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I just
Yeah,
mean
yeah, yeah.
for people, it's,
Context.
I don't
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
it's her fault at all. But the headliner the night before had asked her to come back and host the show the next night, but he didn't tell the club. So the club had no idea. So when the club saw her arrive, they were like, "Uh-oh,
yeah.
yikes." So then they were like, "Okay, we'll just boot Meredith off." So I go there, see this happening, and I'm like, "Okay." And then I was like, "Can I do a guest spot? Like, I'd love to do any amount of time." And
I drove 2 hours.
I drove 2 hours. I hired a babysitter.
Mhm.
Like, I'm in the, I spent in gas, we'll call it $50 in babysitting money, 80,
Mm-hmm.
Because it's both ways.
more
You have to
like
drive both
100.
ways.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, 150, in the hole. And, can I at least do stage time? Like, can I do 5 minutes?
Yeah, I'm here anyway.
And
I'm
they
gonna
were like,
fucking
"We'll
burn
ask the
this place to the
headliner."
ground. I'm
And
gonna
then they
burn
asked
this
the
thing down.
headliner, and the headliner says no.
Sorry.
The headliner said
who
no?
I don't know. I don't know this headliner.
So the club booked you.
The club booked me, but he had somebody else.
Yeah.
So there was just a miscommunication. So I did.
He's a dick because he's been doing it long enough. I'm sorry.
He's been doing it for
he knows
decades,
and he is just a piece of shit.
Yeah. So I did get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank God. That's honestly upstanding of the club to do that.
I wasn't. So my agent had to fight to get me paid.
Mm-hmm.
They were not going to pay me, but then I got paid. I stayed. I got free food and a drink, and I stayed and watched the show. And
you're a saint.
Yeah. And then I left. But it sucked. I mean,
did the headliner apologize?
He wouldn't come out.
He wouldn't
come out and see me. And I told the club, but again,
that's why I'm saying he knows.
I also don't know if the club did tell him I wanted to speak to him because I wanted to speak to him because I was angry.
But
I'm kind of happy he didn't come out because I probably would have said something rude.
Yeah.
But
he was aware there was a situation.
He was aware there was a situation.
So,
and he knew I was there. The club told him, said, "Hey, Meredith's here to host." And he says, "Well, I picked somebody else already. Can she do time?"
Yeah.
No. So I said,
that's all the club needs to tell him.
Yeah. So I told the club, I said, I'd like to speak with him. And he just never came out of the dressing room.
I'm certain.
And I didn't want to go back there, because I wanted to respect his place. I wanted to, I know that's his room. So I didn't want to, barge in like the, like a, Housewives of New Jersey, Teresa Giudice. I don't know. Flip the table.
Yeah.
So
that's
anyway,
truly like one of the most disrespectful things I've ever heard a headliner do, because it wasn't like, oh, he forgot or he didn't put it on his. He knew this was like
he could have told anybody. He could have made that decision.
He could have told his manager.
He could have told anybody, and then they would have called me before I left, and I would have been like, that sucks, but whatever.
Yeah, it's fine.
But instead, it's like I'm driving in the car. I'm like listening to my sets, like being like, should I say it more like that, like an asshole? It's kind of like, and then she said, broccoli.
Fucking A, man.
That's what I'm saying. It's like sometimes I don't know. I've been very lucky that most of the headliners I've ever worked with have been really, really kind and generous and stuff. But every once in a while, you hear stories like that about like assholes.
I've had numerous stories like that.
Yeah, so many.
I had one where I flew somewhere, and the day before I find out, or 2 days before, I find out from the manager of the club, because I'm homies with him, that there's another. They brought 2 people, and I was like, huh.
You're like, something's not adding up.
So did they give you any time? Did you get any time?
Yeah, I did.
Good.
I got the first night. I got 5 minutes.
What the fuck?
5 or 7.
So you flew?
Here's the thing. I was booked in January.
Disgusting and brutal.
I was asked in January by the headliner for a show in June.
Whoa, way in advance. So he forgot? Did he just forget?
I don't know.
But he also didn't address it.
He never addressed it.
He never addressed it.
You flew to where?
To Wisconsin.
5.
It's where I'm from. But like
5 minutes hosting? 5 minutes hosting?
The first night, that's when I was like...
He was supposed to feature.
Did you pay for your flight?
Money-wise, it worked out. But it was a similar thing where I'm like, I'm pissed. Whatever. But for me, it's more how you handle it. Because you know something... went wrong.
Yeah.
Something's amiss.
Yeah, something's up. Something's afoot.
The fact that he didn't address it, and the fact that my guy didn't come out to see me, it's a tell.
Yeah.
It's like, you fucked up.
He could have at least, even if he made an honest mistake, just coming out and being like, hey, I'm so sorry. I forgot to let my manager know. Yeah. Please stay. Even if he didn't give you time, please come hang out. Here's a meal, drink. I'm so sorry. Tipped you out.
Yeah, exactly.
Tipped you out. Giving you a 50.
Yeah.
And been like, I'm so sorry.
Or here's
a
makeup
covers
date.
Gas. Here's a
makeup date.
A makeup date. Yeah. Something
like that. Keep it classy.
To me, it's not that hard to be a decent human being.
And you know what? I was upset about this, and then I'm like, you know what? Careers are long. This business is small. I'm going to run into him again, and I will have the opportunity to handle it.
I hope you bump him one day. As you said,
dude, my dream. Okay, talk about goals. I
know
that you're talking about.
We want to end the episode.
I
know you want to end the episode.
And I love a vengeful goal.
Yes.
So my vengeful goal is that I make it to the point where I can see him on a lineup and I can bump him and then run the clock until the end of the show, and he just can't
go
he
up.
can't go up.
Yes.
And I'm at the point where like nobody would get mad at me at the establishment for that. But that's my that's like a goal for me. And then afterwards I might say something a little like,
oh, were you here?
Cute and cunty. Yeah, that's like kind of like like,
oh, I didn't see you there.
An echo of something.
Oh, I didn't know you wanted to drop in.
Oh,
I would have left you a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, did you want to host?
I would have left you like 5.
Yeah. Did you want to host? We could give you 5 up top.
Yeah.
It's a free show though.
Yeah.
It's a bringer.
Yeah.
That is the thing. That's how I felt too.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not gonna go out of my way to like fucking get you or anything. But it's like, I'm not gonna forget.
The opportunity shall present itself, as it all does, you know?
It's like you just burned a bridge.
Yeah,
and not to say I'm like, you know, we're fucking top of the line or whatever, but it's like, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So how do you again, how do you know in 10, 20 years?
And that's the funny fickle thing about this business is like you never know who's going to make it, because a lot of the time it's not based on talent, it's not based on skill. So it's like you never know who's going to be you never know who's going to be the next thing, so you almost
and you don't know who knows who, and sometimes
you don't know who knows who.
I kind of did something cunty the other day.
I love how cute you are.
I did. So I met actually after your Netflix thing, went out to eat with a few people.
That was another thing I do want to talk about.
Okay, one of the guys, one of his managers was there, and we all went out to eat, and we're kind of talking, and they bring up this guy from one of these comedy scenes who I had a really terrible experience with, who screamed in my face, was really rude to me, like just a terrible human being. Nothing at the show, but afterwards he was so awful to me that I literally vowed to myself, if his name ever comes up, I'm going to tell people exactly the truth of how he treated. It's not a lie. I'm not embellishing. I'm just going to say I don't like him, and here's why. And his name came up, and I was kind of sitting there thinking, like, do I do this in front of a manager? And I fucking tore him to shreds. I was like, he's probably one of the worst people I've ever met. He's a bad comic. Like, he's really middle of the road. He's not horrible, but he's not outstandingly talented to act the way he did, because if he was, he would be kinder.
Yes.
You know, and I fucking ripped him to shreds.
After the show, we're all gonna
we're all
just gonna whisper
telephone
the names.
That's for the Patreon.
You gotta come on, piggies. You gotta pay extra.
And you know what? When people are mean to me, when people are mean to
me, fin pig. That's a real thing. It's a real thing. It's a
Fin pig?
Fin pig.
Fin pig.
Financial
pig.
Oh, fin pig.
Yeah. It's like a
Yeah, but when people are mean to me, it's like, you better have a really good reason. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying we all, like,
I better actually be the worst.
No. Like, maybe I truly make a mistake, and I'm like, okay, I deserved for you to be kind of like, you know, brash with me or something. Yeah. But like, I truly like try to be, especially at shows, professional, whatever. If something happens outside of comedy and you just don't vibe with me or something, whatever, right? But like, if someone like really makes a point to be mean to me for no reason, I'm like, okay, let's fucking rumble. Like, I can be petty too. Like, you want to be petty, and I'm not that person, but like, if you push me far enough, I will fucking tear you to shreds.
Right.
Yeah. Got a little dark side, you know?
Oh, as we all do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Two wolves. Good wolf and bad wolf.
Yeah.
Which one are you going to feed?
Exactly.
The bad one.
Yeah. Always.
Yeah.
Feed me, little piggy.
Oh,
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The guy feed the Firefox.
Yeah, the Mozilla Firefox. Yeah. Oh my God, look at him.
Oh, there was one other thing. How are we on time? I don't want to go over it.
Yeah, couple minutes left here.
I did a Netflix radio. Netflix is a joke radio.
Yeah.
And which was really fun, and I enjoyed it and I loved it.
You did great.
Thanks.
You did.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, of course. My pleasure.
I speaking of getting mad, I left right after my set because I was
Which can I say something just for context?
Yeah.
You thought you did, like, maybe not, like, you know what your best is, right? And maybe we all do that.
Yeah.
But like, you did so much better than anybody else on that show,
which makes you feel great, and I wish I stayed.
You didn't get to see that because the show was, to be honest, love you Netflix, but it was a shit show. There were hecklers the whole time.
The host was an hour and a half late to call.
Which was like maybe a half hour late for the audience.
45.
45.
He was 45 minutes late for the start of show.
Yeah. So it was like running late. People were antsy. There's hecklers on one side and over here. A lot of people came to see one comic and they ruined his set because they heckled so hard that at one point he was like trying to get them to like stop so that he could finish his bit. And at one point he literally just goes, all right, I guess I'll leave. And he had to leave the stage because they wouldn't stop talking over his fans ruined his set. It was so bad, Elliott. Like, I was literally standing there like, is anyone going to say anything to these hecklers? Like, they weren't kicking them out.
No, the door guys.
They talked through everyone's set.
The door guys didn't do anything. I don't even know if they have door guys there. But
where was it?
The Elysian Dynasty Typewriter.
Dynasty Typewriter.
Yeah, Dynasty Typewriter.
Yeah, that's where the JFL.
Yeah.
Same room. Yeah.
And then the host, before he went on stage, I was the first comic to go up, and the host was 45 minutes late. The crowd was just sitting there. Yeah. And the host turns to me before he goes on stage and he goes, oh, fuck, I wish I like prepared something. Like, I have no idea what I'm gonna say. So then he goes up there and is just kind of meandering.
A comic?
Yeah.
And honestly, he did fine at the start, but then he kind of kept trying to get people back between sets because there were hecklers. And honestly, like, they were fucking rowdy.
But I just feel like if I was in that position, if I was a successful comedian who got asked to host for like a very special, cool thing that a lot of the comics there were really excited about, I would bring my best 5. Like, I would make sure that I set up my comrades for success instead of like, you know, kind of being like,
a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
A lot of people do not know how to host.
Yeah.
They think they just get up there. They think they have to warm up the audience by just saying jokes at them, and then their job is done. I've literally heard people be like, hosting is the easiest thing because you just go up there, just, oh, what do you do? What do you do? Just do some crowd work, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's literally step by step what you're not supposed to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And especially if you are an established comic, you should remember, if you went through the gauntlet, you remember what it's like. But I feel like people like that's kind of an indicator to me that they didn't, because they have no idea how big of a deal this is.
That's a good point.
For everyone else.
I think he did a fine job hosting. What I think is messed up is saying that to somebody on the lineup that
is going next,
who's probably thought about their set for weeks of what they're going to have recorded on the radio.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's that it doesn't occur that it's that big of a thing for that person.
Know? And like, I felt the same way when I went to a Don't Tell taping, and like, that's something that I really want down the line.
Dude.
You know, like, I'd be thrilled to get a Don't Tell
Thrilled.
taping.
It's the new late night.
And
it's amazing.
It was probably, and I love Don't Tell, but it was probably the worst recorded thing I've ever been to. The audience was leaving halfway through people's sets. It was weird. A lot of the comics were unprepared. Most of them just did straight up crowd work.
So that's LA comics versus New York.
Yes.
That would never happen in New York.
Yes,
that's the difference.
Yeah.
New York comics are prepared.
Funny enough, though, I think one of them
was in New York.
Was a maybe.
Oh, really?
But I think, so here's the thing. Part of me understands, because it's like, actually, no, I think they're not from New York. I might have lied. They might be from the East Coast. But part of me is like, okay, some of those people I know had other stuff recorded coming up, so they weren't doing like their best 10 or even 15 or something, right? Okay. Some of them were asked last minute to do the show, so I also get that. But even an hour before the show, maybe you think about your set list, and sitting there in the audience as a comic was really hard, because I'm like, this is something that I would like die to have the opportunity.
Yeah, of course.
And you're like, 4 of the comics truly either bombed their set or it was like jarring to watch, and those tapes never came out like on the channel. So I'm like, that's so sad to me.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
like,
the difference. LA and New York for me.
Yeah,
but LA here, my whole thing is,
where are you from? Oh, Wisconsin.
Yeah. My whole thing is, it's on the producers more than the comics, because the producers booking these people are encouraging people to just skate by on their fucking charm.
I don't know.
Because these people keep getting booked on shows, and they're like, I'm on this show, I'm on fucking that show, I'm doing it, I'm killing it. They go up, they suck shit.
I think less so for
no
a
one
taping, though.
no one tells them that. So then they have this fucking attitude that like, we're fucking killing it. And the producers see the crowd doesn't enjoy it. So as a producer, it's like, don't you want to put on the best show you can to get more people to come
I think it's different
back?
for a taping though, because all of these comics are very funny, but they bomb their tapings. They did, and I've seen
then that's
them
on the
crush.
comics.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it was their fault for booking those people.
But if you're an established comic, if you are actually worth your salt, you would understand. Even then, an hour before the show, if you're an established comic and you can't pull out
that's why I'm
passable
blaming the
15,
but
I'm saying, how did they get that far? Because they kept getting booked when they didn't like.
No, I mean,
I guess I don't know who the comics are.
The comics are funny. Like most of them are very funny, but like the audience was also like really not into it, which I don't know why, because I don't know
where
if
was
they
it
knew
taped?
It was it was in Santa Monica, which
I mean that's a huge reason
I
why,
think,
because Santa Monica crowds are dumb.
But like
sunbaked,
like there was one comic on the show who I know they are funny because I've seen them. They're kind of more alty, but like I really enjoy them.
You've seen them crush,
and I've seen them crush. They had probably one of the worst sets I've ever seen in comedy ever. No material, literally on stage during the taping, being like, "Oh, what should we talk about?" I was fucking fuming.
It's funny too because audience members hate that.
What the fuck?
Like,
yeah, and on stage saying like, "Oh, I didn't prepare anything for this." And I'm sitting there thinking like, you're actually joking me, because I know you're funny, and I know because I've seen you on other shows, and you just didn't show up today. You didn't show up.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, that producer has seen them crush and thought, oh yeah, I should definitely book this person because this audience would love them. They're gonna crush. They're a great person to put, fifth or whatever in the lineup. Let's put them in, and then they bomb their set.
Yeah,
that's a recording. Like, I don't think that Don't Tell wants to put bad comics on their channel.
They definitely don't.
You
know,
like it was just very jarring because it's like there's some things that like are kind of rites of passage and things that a lot of people want. They're these coveted things, and like I don't want to say that it's like the end all be all. Like Don't Tell set is not going to like make your career, right? But for a lot of people, that's a big deal because it's like a lot of times it's like that's like the kind of alt show that a lot of people get to do a lot of sets at and build their material. Like you build hours with those smaller sets,
dude.
right?
Yeah.
And if you've spent your whole comedy career doing Don't Tell comedy sets and then you finally get a taping, like I think that's a big deal for a lot of people.
It's a really big deal.
You know, and I don't want to see people waste it, you know.
Well, it's also like if they're bigger comics, why do they need one? You know? But I think part of my, I mean, that is different, but I do think producers should start when someone bombs being like, I'm not going to book that again.
Well, you know what the issue is too with producers now, and I don't know if you guys agree with this, but I think a lot of them aren't actually comedy fans, because sometimes when I see the lineups, and I'm sorry, even at your Netflix recording, there were 2 people that truly bombed.
Yeah.
No laughs.
Yeah.
And I was like, how did these people get booked? Because if this is their baked material,
that's what I'm saying.
Like, and you can just tell that
Good
the people
agents.
who booked it were like, okay, we'll just slot them in. They weren't paying attention to lineup or who to go when, or
it's just names.
You know, it's just like whatever. And they are not big names. I've never heard of some of these people, and not to say that whatever, but I feel like I know most.
I think sometimes it has to do with who their agent is, what power they have behind them, but also what slot they fill as far as
this is your vertical,
the type of person they are.
Yeah. But I could see how that would be a frustrating thing to do, especially like you got invited to do this recording and then you're already feeling like kind of like pissed about the host.
I was so excited to do the recording because I was like, I love it's been a you know, I've wanted to do like a Netflix is a joke something, you know, like for so long. Like that's been a goal of mine. So I was like really
now we have
really
goals.
Excited. Yeah.
We're gonna bump the person who did us
bigger
wrong.
Goals.
Yeah.
A vengeful goal.
A chip
like
on your
that.
shoulder is
A
good.
venge goal.
I really like that.
Avenge goal.
Avenge goal.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it really it bummed me out and it pissed me off, and I took it too personally. Like, you know, like
we all do.
Yeah, where I was like, you know, I had that inner monologue going of like,
smart.
This is disrespectful, you know.
Yeah. The respect thing is where the line is.
Yeah, you know, like it and you know, I'm sure that's like an ego thing, but at the same time, it's kind of like, Yeah.
You work so hard for those moments, and then to be disappointed in them is tough.
Because you can't control. Like, you can only control what's in your control.
Yeah.
And when something happens outside your control, it's kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
well, yeah, I couldn't sit this comic down and say, please write out a great 5. You know, everybody's interacting with.
I know. I really was mad after I went to like the Don't Tell taping, for example, and then I kind of cooled down in the car because I was like, who knows what was going on for whatever reason, you know. It's not my business either, right? But yeah, it's deeply intriguing to watch from the sidelines, you know.
Yeah, because of course you're on the sidelines. You want to be like, put me in, coach.
Yeah, I know. I'm
You
literally
know?
sitting there like, good God, like you know. So
yeah. I do think it will somehow come back to bite people who do it regularly. Because I've heard from family who went and saw Chris Rock when he was doing the tambourine right before that. And a lot of people don't know who aren't in comedy. Most people don't know when you're on the road, you're like working your hour to film it. That's usually how it goes. So, and which I didn't know either. So I remember being like, first time I would see people and then they put out an hour. I'm like, oh, this is the same shit that I saw. So they didn't realize that, but they were just like, yeah, we were kind of not impressed and wished, but they saw it live and they were like, you could tell he was still working shit out, but it was like, they were like, we kind of didn't feel like we got our money's worth.
Yeah, maybe I was later into the tour, but
that's where I told them, I was like, yeah, they're like working shit out, whatever. But at the same time, like, you have to know when you're still working stuff out, where the line is between this is still too rough versus it's rough, but it passes. It's a good show. People will still enjoy the show and whatever. But I feel like some people will either do lower caliber shows and just be like, this is where I'm just going to work out the roughest shit. And then I've had people be like, yeah, I came to the show for this person and they sucked because they just didn't seem like they cared or really cared how well the show went. They just wanted to do it for them. So then they leave and they're just like, oh, that kind of, so like I was really excited to see this person and they just phoned it in because this didn't matter. And so it's like, it does affect, it affects the producer, it affects the other comics, it affects everyone when you do that.
True.
So it's like, I wonder if eventually...
I mean, I don't know if that's like, I don't know. When I first moved down to LA, I did a few shows where like I was doing my best shit because I was new and I wanted people to get to know me, right? And I would do shows where like everyone gets like 10 or 15 minutes. And a lot of the comics would do completely new 10 or 15 minutes.
You got to work it out somewhere. You do have to work it out somewhere.
That's the thing. The stage time is so poor in LA that I think they apply that mentality to a lot of stuff. And I'm not saying that's like right to apply to like a recording context, but I think that's what a lot of people do here because it's like, it's not like New York where
there's
you
still
can
ways
go
to
and
do
you
it.
can. No, I agree.
I do open mics still all the time.
But I know. And people like will laugh at me for still doing mics.
I love mics.
Like, I love going to mics.
Yeah, that's where you do the literal
new
raw
stuff. Yeah.
You just need to say it out loud to other people to figure out the rhythm.
I'll never stop doing them.
And the thing is,
I don't get comics who do.
It's the most low stakes.
Yeah. I consider myself like a writer primarily, and I still like love going to mics.
I love a mic.
You know, and I love when you do a new bit and it works, you know. And I know that's not for everyone, and I'm not judging anyone who doesn't want to go to them, but I think it's like, you know, when I first got down here, I was like, oh my God, I'm funnier than everybody here. Like I would see like really big names doing completely new 15 minutes and stuff. And it's like, but that's kind of what you have to do here sometimes, you know, like, it's just kind of a different mentality.
It is. It's a lot of work. It's hard, so hard.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any advice that you would like to give out to wrap things up?
Well, today we had a great conversation at lunch about nothing mattering. Very nihilistic.
About what?
Nothing matters.
Oh, yeah. Nothing matters. That was good.
Yeah.
You should share your... Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like sometimes I get really wound up about things. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, it's nothing.
You know,
nothing's the end of the world.
And it came from, I did a show last night that I was really excited to do. It's just an indie show, you know, at a record store. And I've been trying to get booked on the show for like 10 years. And I finally got on it.
Okay.
And
I think I know what's going on.
And, you know, I got on it. And again, the host kind of phoned in. I was first. The host kind of phoned it in. And, you know, I did material that I've done. I did some old material, and then I've done some new stuff that's been working, and I was really excited about it. And the crowd wasn't great, and was cold, and I was like,
outside.
It was outside.
Like,
It didn't go as well as I
Oh.
hoped, and you know, I was like, oh God, I've been building this up in my head for 10 years, and I really wanted it to be like the thing, and then it's not. But it's also like, you know,
and you did it, and it doesn't matter.
I did it, and
in
it
the
doesn't
best
matter.
way. I mean that in the kindest way.
Yes,
you know,
you know, of course. And you know, this. I just want to share one last thing. There, I took a hot yoga class months ago.
Okay.
It was the hardest thing. It was so hard. I barely could do it.
Yeah.
And it was so hard. I just kind of laid on the mat for a while at one point.
Mm-hmm.
But the yoga teacher said, in the beginning of the class, she said, this is all pain. The beginning is pain, the middle is pain, and the end is pain. There's no break from the pain. So stop looking for a break.
Yeah.
Because it's not coming. So kiss that goodbye.
Oh my God.
And just give in and surrender to the struggle and the pain.
Okay.
And then once she said that, I was like, oh, I can relax.
Yeah, because you know what's coming.
It's like to control what you can control.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I kind of have been applying that to a lot of things in my life, and it's actually been really helpful.
Good.
Where I've just kind of been like, oh yeah, no, it's all pain. So why? I'm just gonna go back to doing what I was doing because it's all is great. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, I love that.
I've been thinking about that like pretty much the same way too recently, which is interesting because I feel like there's something in the air.
Well,
I feel like a lot
it's
of
psychic,
people.
So
You know what? I do feel a little not psychic at all, but
just a little.
I feel a
little not psychic at all.
News. Yeah.
You do some readings, and every once in a while you do a reading, and then you're like, wait, did I actually hear anything? You're like, did I just make all that up?
You make things up. At the end, you tell people, actually, I just made all that up. They're crying.
Yeah, you're like, oh, sorry, I just realized I was making that
you're
up.
projecting things onto a crystal ball.
I was doing
It's
an
great.
improv scene. I forgot. I'm sorry.
That's actually such a funny. I do feel a little
not
psychic at all.
At all. A little not at all is very funny to me. Yeah.
Anyway, I do have feelings, you know, vibes like we were talking about earlier, intuition. I do feel like some intuition stuff, premonition stuff.
How do you feel? What's your premonition about comedy? How are you feeling? What are you tapping into in your chakras?
What's aligning?
You know, I do feel straight up.
I know. Yeah. You're out of the camera now. Yeah.
I do feel like I turned a corner as far as my attitude towards it. Because I used to be a very nervous, tight comedian, word perfect. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It works for some people. I think John Mulaney's probably a word perfect comic, you know, and he's great. But for me, I'm realizing like, not that I'm loosey goosey on stage as far as meandering material, you know, mics are different, but like I realize that and maybe it's like having a kid and being a parent because you kind of get your head out of your own ass. Yeah. But I just realized like, oh, this is fun. This is going to be fun. It's a joy to make people laugh. And like I can take, you know, I prepare hard for it, but then
you let it breathe.
And kind of letting myself
well, that's
have fun.
Just be in the moment.
That's what I loved about you the first time I ever saw you go on stage. It was at Eno at a mic, and it was kind of like a quiet mic, you know, and you went on stage and I was like, I love this woman. I was like, it was really, you just like, you were so conversational. And I could tell that you had thought about the jokes a lot before saying them because there were some interesting, like, good tags in there. But you were very, like, it was very much like you were just like, oh, yeah, I thought about this today.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's good. Like, those are kind of sometimes the best kinds of comics because it's like, it just feels like you're chatting with your best friend.
Right.
Those are the people that make people, audience members think, oh, this is just what they're talking about. And then when they see the special, they're like, oh, that wasn't what they were just thinking about that day.
Even John Mulaney, he might be word perfect, but if you listen to his first 2 albums, it just feels like your best friend is telling a wild high school story.
Yes. I think he's, I think he's so great.
He's one of the best ever of all time.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we have to end with a shout out to John Mulaney.
Just like every episode.
That guy.
He sneaks his way in.
Yeah.
He sneaks his way in just like 9/11.
You know, Meredith, where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram at murderdeathcasey. You can find me. Oh, that's it. That's all.
Amazing.
You can also find me at Albertsons.
Yeah. We love that.
Yeah, can't catch her though. All greased up.
Yeah.
Too slippery.
Elliot, where can people find you?
You can find me on all social media platforms at Grent Radish, GrentRadish. You can just step on it.
I think
fine.
she doesn't want to fall to her death on a slippery blanket. Yeah.
Oh, that's fair.
I like your
That's
sweater.
fair.
I have a similar sweatshirt.
Did I spell it right?
I don't know. You can
Yeah,
do it
love it.
again so we can cut that.
I think I say it every time.
Yeah.
Where can they find you?
They can find you at Grant Radish, and they can find me at Arijana Ramic. There we go. Are we out?
We're Audi
We're
5000.
out.
Bye.
Yay.